this video, you will see some of the most interesting hands from the first week of the Cash Game World Championship, commented by some very interesting No Limit Hold'em players. First, we're going to have Marcus, aka MakeBoy Finn, and George. George, very well known in the high stakes No Limit Hold'em community. Behind the scenes, Plastic Elephant, one of his famous screen names, and not actively playing so much, but still involved with coaching and staking business. It's interesting to see what these guys think of a bunch of the hands, but unfortunately, they're not able to stay the entire time. So another man joins me to finish some of the hands. Oh, hi, Mark. Thank you for coming in and joining me for that section. But I fuck up in the middle of this recording. I press spacebar, which for some reason stops my recording, so I lose most of the content with Oh, hi, Mark. And then I wake up this morning and I get carried safely home by Sea Llama, Prodigy, and eventually Dejan, aka Deki Alajujevic, very hard to pronounce last name, will step in and join me as well. So quite a mix of different players, different opinions, and a lot of really interesting hands. So enjoy. And George, maybe you take us through the action here.
Okay, so we've got a min raise from Owen, a free bet from Absolute Top Up. I don't know so much about. 300 big blinds deep. All right, and we get a big 4-bet, which I think is obviously good at these depths, although not seen it used by so many people, but nice one from Owen. No pre-flop, I guess. And cool. King X. And yeah, this is where we need a disclaimer that 300 big blind deep 4-bet pots are not my speciality. Let's see what Owen cooks up here. Quarter pot c-bet. Cool. Yep. So I'm just debating, like, normally in a classic 4-bet pot situation, obviously, the 4-better has a big ace-king off advantage in these positions. But 300 big blinds deep, I'm actually just not sure it's the case so much anymore, because obviously ace-king off pretty much a pure flat for the in-position player now, and the OOP player might flat it to the 3-bet sometimes as well. So yeah, maybe not quite as a kind of like advantageous board. Also, obviously 100 big blinds deep, you can just triple queens stacks, which obviously is not going to be the case now. So more defensive strategy required. But yeah, I think I've seen this hand as well. I'm remembering. So yeah, let's keep it running.
Seen this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Mark, you take us through the rest of it to avoid any potential spoiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let Marcus predict the showdown before the showdown happens as well.
Okay, let's see. So we small flop, half a turn.
Yeah, half turn, and there's about 1 SPR left on river.
Yeah.
Goes in. Gets called.
All 300.
My prediction is, because we're watching this hand, and the absolute top is gonna have 7-6, and Owen's gonna have probably, let's say, what does he have here? Let's say top 10s. That's my prediction.
Top 10 pre-flop 4-bet to 30 bigs. I guess so.
Okay, 8's this close. Oh, I actually seen this hand. Yeah, ace 9.
Yeah, sick one. I mean, the question is obviously, like, when you think of Absolute's range, he's probably supposed to be pretty polarized, when all 300 go in. And then, like, this kind of hand is not unreasonable to have, obviously, as a bluff in a polarized range. But then, like Marcus said, with the 7-6 and so on, there is, like, a lot of this kind of hand. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't fold much on the flop against the small size, so you got 7-6, you have some lower pocks and stuff, so...
Yeah.
Pock 8's a bit questionable to bet and blast off, I guess, but I guess it's fine.
What's Owen supposed to be doing with ace king, no heart, with king queen of spades kind of hands?
I would guess just like not check call the turn, so do something else. Check raise bet. Try to get stacks in somehow.
It's not a thrilling line. I also think that Marcus, I mean, I could be wrong again, like with a washed up disclaimer, which I'm just going to leave for the rest of the video. But I think that, yeah, you've got two of the least precise, probably high stakes regs out there. But I do think like some of these hands, like King X is still not very advantageous for you even 300 deep. So I don't think you can like So super wide to the c-bet, so some of these 7-6 and so on, they might just fold the flop straight away. Like I think most of your flop calls with this kind of hand class, like 7-6, pocket eights or whatever, is where the EV comes from bluffing future runouts, right? And at least in theory, if you float all of them, you can't bluff profitably on future runouts, so you have to like not float all of them basically. But in practice, who knows? Like from what I've seen of this challenge, I wouldn't be looking to make wild floats to try and bluff guys for 300 big blinds, to be honest, because like guys, they don't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, people don't seem to like the fold in this challenge.
I feel like pocket ace is like kind of reasonable because you can't fold the flop with a like boat out and heart and like yeah, if you actually are disciplined enough to fold these other hands or maybe choose to bluff this ahead of the other hands, because like there's obviously logic for that, then probably nice enough line.
Yeah. To me, pocket ace seems a bit naughty on the turn, but I might be like overestimating how loose we call on the flop. Because to me, it just doesn't accomplish enough. Like just hoping to bet the turn to get like the river where we can bluff. Because like you don't get almost any better hands to fold on turn. You don't get that much protection. Like sure, you get like 2 overs to fold, but like you mostly try to set a price to like check the river, I guess.
But for half pot on turn, it's definitely more looking like he's doing that, planning on bluffing the river strategy than he is trying to get a street of value.
But like, what if like river is like one of the costs that's lower than 7? Like, are you gonna bluff pockets there?
I don't think so. But who knows?
Maybe though.
Maybe we don't have much else to. It's not how you float the flop with much, and you don't want to bluff hearts, right? So you have to look in this kind of hand. I will just say last on hand. I think that's one of the sickest things about this challenge, by the way. Like often, if you play high stakes, like I sometimes dabble in high stakes. Normally, when we've got a friendly VIP player in there, you get a lot of guys who just won't ever take this kind of line. You know, they're like there to play kind of solidly, take some money from the fish, play solidly, but when it gets to 300 big blind 4-bet pot as pre-flop caller, they're not even like trying to think about what to bluff with necessarily. Whereas in all of the guys who've shown up here, they're like here to play, which is sick for the spectator, obviously.
Yeah, I think like back in the day, let's say like 5 years ago, like once it was like 200, 300 big blind effective, like people were not really like looking to put the stacks in. But nowadays you see completely like different strats, like using larger like pre-flop sizing and like bombing the flop more when you're deep and stuff like this.
Do you think that comes from players having more confidence of how the game is supposed to work?
I think it's just like the solvers kind of show this. Now this is so easy to solve, like deeper spots. When back in the day, I think people mostly focus on like starting 100 big blinds.
I also think it's how people perceive themselves as well. Sorry, Mark, you can.
No.
I was going to say it's how people perceive themselves. Like back in the day, a lot of high stakes regs perceive themselves as like exploitative players, let's say, or even to some extent just guys who are there to take the money from the VIP. Whereas nowadays, a lot more people come through who like perceive themselves as like strong equilibrium players, who's like most of their game plan revolves around trying to like play as well as they can at equilibrium and not worry too much about the results or the showdowns afterwards. And that leads you to more kind of land in a 300 big blind spot and not just think, oh, this isn't part of my plan to take money from the VIP and play kind of well. And instead, you're thinking like, what kind of strategy should I execute here and what kind of hands are in there?
Less fear for sure, especially online. But why don't we'll try and get through some hands here. We've got 18 plus this. This was the biggest pot that happened in week 1.
Yeah, okay, sure.
But why don't you guys just randomly choose, because my random order is not fully random. So just shout a number out. You go first, George.
9.
Natural 9.
Excellent
choice. All right, George, you chose this hand. You can take us through this hand, okay?
All right, 2.25x. Looks like we might. Oh, I was hoping it was going to be versus Kevin, so we get to play 100 bigs, but 200 again. Great. Okay. Smaller free bet from the small blind, which I think makes sense, obviously. Not super polarized, and you can't really polarize enough in a small blind without playing quite a ridiculous free bet range to make it worth going to 20. Yeah, 10 seems good. Small C bet seems good. Very wide, I would presume. If not range, probably range.
And what would you do as rigged here, facing this small C bet?
Again, like default is to just call everything 100, 200 big blinds deep probably more need to start thinking about having small raising range. You also have to think a bit about your opponent though. Like, what do you want to happen when you have 8-7? Probably you would like some more money to go in. What's your opponent like to do? We can look at his screen name and say probably more money is going to go in without you raising. So another option to consider. But I feel like rig deck he likes a few raises in positions. So I think it's more likely he's going to click raise.
Very nice. Good guess.
Yeah, and this one I haven't seen, so here we go, boys. Okay. So what is Linus representing here for a free bet? 200 deep. Are you still supposed to kind of like click around pocket aces? I would be deeply unsure. I would expect Linus is going to be more on the risk averse side. So I think we're going to see some more of those kind of hands, and obviously like bluffs are natural from like board pairs or some kind of straight equity sometimes, but not a common line to free bet here, I think. But who knows what kind of dynamic.
If you're in Rig's position right now, George, are you feeling like there's any way you can lay your hand down at any point up against Linus, or is it just a cold day out there?
No chance.
Yeah, I think so. If he's like, obviously, also you remove 8s and 7s, so like.
What about when that's the turn?
I still don't really believe that. Like again, like maybe it's perception of the free bet range, right? And like, obviously, I mean, it's like, do we think there's much king x in the free bet range? I mean, I guess as soon as you start thinking you have free bet range of king x in, go ahead, Mark.
But this is a bit fucked because like you kind of don't want to fold 8-7, but if you're not folding 8-7, like what are you folding here? You're not raise calling the flop with like much worse. So if you call this, I think it's range call. Because you much rather call like if you raise call the flop with 10-9, you straight like call that over this on the turn.
Yeah, for sure. I think you have to fold 8-7 here, like for the exact reasons you said.
At least like sometimes. Because you never have worse.
You could. You have two options. You could use Marcus's impeccable logic of like, we like don't really raise call the flop with anything worse than this, so like this should be a minus EV call if our opponent's playing well. Or we could just decide our opponent's bluffing and let's just like keep going and but we get it. So yeah, let's see which one he goes for.
Problem with like Linus could bluff with like 8, I guess. Like ace-8 is not unreasonable.
Yeah.
And I think the way it works, we're losing the ace-8.
Yeah.
Anyone stationing the river here?
No.
Well, not the spot
I mean,
if you
look at the screen name, like.
Imagine if you're playing like. Sorry, go ahead, Mark. I keep interrupting you. You go.
They're like. I think you just have to fold, but like half thought then just look at the opponent's screen name, like can't be that bad to call, but.
Well, what's Linus repping out of interest though? You know, for the flop 3-bet, is he coming in with ace king for a flop reclick? Is that the idea here, or is he repping more pocket 8s, pocket 7s?
I think it's like ace king kind of, because like the thing about this spot 200 big points deep, it's always quite stupid because like small blind doesn't really want to like he doesn't have that many hands that actually want to play for stacks. Like ace king doesn't want to play for like stacks on many runouts, I don't think. Like you instead, you don't go all in, you go like small 75 or something like this. Like you don't put the whole 200 big points in, I think. So then when in position raises, like you don't really want to like 3-bet anything, but like you have to have like some kind of like stuns so you cannot get like raised and then get infinite checks on the turn. So you kind of have to take that away from him.
So you could call the flop raise and donk this turn, for example.
I think so. I might but instead, more, what's gonna happen more is like click the flop and then play a bit passively the turn.
Yeah,
I expect
agree with Marcus.
But like I haven't played Nolan in ages, so
I think as well. The thing is, right, it's always like the safe approach to be sat there as the OP player and be like, oh yeah, I'm not sure how thin we can go, so I'm just going to free bet like super polarized. But that is not so much the approach of like a lot of the guys in these games. So I think once a guy thinks they have a free bet range and they're more aggressive, they probably just end up putting some of the ace king in there anyway. Even though I actually It could be like truly awful, but from my
yeah, I don't think like ace king shouldn't play for stacks. I don't think this deep, but
no, neither. Yeah.
So then it gets super weird when you get raised. But if you never had 3-bet range on flop, then in position can just like small raise like so much and then just check the turn and read this cheaply. So it's listed as well.
Yeah. And then I think I was just gonna comment, like I'm just imagining some of the games that I play. And kind of like 1K and like imagining a guy's like 3-bet you 200 big blinds deep in this spot on the flop and then taking this line and you're sat there like considering bluff catching. And like how ridiculous it would be. But yeah, I mean I would just follow the turn. I guess once you get to the river it's just whatever, but I agree with Marcus, you could lose to a bluff.
Yeah. I mean you probably don't lose to a bluff, but I would just fold.
Do we get to see the cards?
Get 7-6.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Oh my! You beat that bluff. And I mean, I guess you're actually right. Like, it would be, yeah. And like Linus's play seems quite controlled to me here as well, right? Like if you were going to have a 3-bet range at all, this is going to be like, and you 3-bet the small one pre-flop, this has to be kind of first priority. So very reasonable play. And nice hand.
Is the choice of spades here likely to do with unblocking any potential weak backdoor hands that go for a little raise call on the flop for rigged? Or is it not really that important that he has spades in this situation?
Like someone might book it in that way, but I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah. Especially in these positions as well.
All right, Marcus, you're next. Don't choose 9.
Let's go number 8. Lucky 8.
It's your old mate again. Up against a paddle reg.
This time we're 100 big blinds, so.
Yeah, we love 100, mate. I know this. I've seen this hand already as well.
You've seen this hand? Okay, maybe let Mark just take it away then.
So we have 4-bet pot. One is playing kind of small 4-bet, I think. 22 or something.
Yeah, 2250, yeah. And he's checking on flop. Anything to think about here, or just checking?
I think we check with ace queen, but it's like almost like a value bet, I guess, because I don't know how this. I don't remember how this works, but like, I think small blind bets have pot like most pocket pairs, and then even ace king can like bet the flop. So when he first check, like,
you still trap the flop though. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you bet small and you get raised, like how often are you getting bluff? Like when you call, like you also get called by worse, I think. And I wouldn't hate the flop style. It's a bit naughty, I think. So check turn, and then we face a jam. And that is representing some kind of slow play or
Rivered joker.
Ace jack. Yeah, I mean it makes sense you check twice with ace jack because I don't know.
You can also have. I think you can have all the traps here as Duddy, right? Like you see a kind of negative-ish flop for you, so you're like, yeah, I want to play some traps. Sounds like even worse for your check range, so going to play more traps again. And then obviously reopen the river.
How thin can Duddy shove here? Like let's say he has 8. Is that like too thin to shove?
I think so, but again, sure.
It seems very close because Linus doesn't really have like 10s, 9s. So Jack acts like how often? I guess he has maybe 15% Jack or something. So
yeah, it's like a spot where like the OOP player has some traps, some Jack X which hits the river, and then the in position player like doesn't really like especially when someone skips 2 stabs here, they just have so few, like all the thin stuff is already bet, right? So they either have Jack, they can have nuts, which might take this line, or this kind of pass.
It generally just feels like a spot where like both players, like ace queen is such a huge part of like both players' range.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. I mean, the other problem is that even I was thinking the exact thing, and I was also thinking ace queen might be the bottom of your range here when you check back twice on ace.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I don't know, like
the bottom of your range and also your whole range. Yeah.
What can Daddy have here as a bluff? Like king, queen, no diamond.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can easily think flop is not so high frequency, and then turn is like really low frequency. and then Jack like gives you permission to bluff everything. So like
yeah,
whatever. Like,
maybe Daddy just had like some kind of like ace 10. He didn't want to do anything. Then he sees the red jack and it's like, okay, this is me. I go and.
But I think the most likely combo of these kind of ilk is ace jack to take this line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm presuming lines is going to call, and
I don't think we
I
see
can
this
see
hand
the
otherwise.
logic. But it's like these hands are so hard to evaluate when, like you said, both players are like whole range feels like around like this kind of region, and like you it is an overbet on the river as well. So you still like it's not like you have to like defend wildly deep if you're trying to play well. And it's not the spot where I would be like.
It's also 2x spot, like almost 2x spot, so like
Yeah.
folds as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
But
been.
these guys, they don't like folding.
How does that? I used to have ace king suited pre as well and stuff. So like, yeah, ace. Yeah.
Okay, let's see that showdown.
But Marcus,
think
you
it's
you have to choose first if you're calling or folding. Keep in mind, I've balanced this quite well with which hands I show and stuff.
Like considering that, like if we didn't see this hand and I played this hand, I would fold. Obviously, when we see this hand, it's gonna be. I think
No, I balanced a bit. I chose because I
So
wanted you guys not to get too spoiled, so I included some different stuff.
I just follow.
Daddy lost some buy-in so far as well, which makes me like calling more.
Well, that's that's a bit of a rigged approach, George. Yeah.
I think it's so hard to have bluff here. Sure, ace ten, king queen, king queen with diamond.
He actually has your diamond, Marcus, as well. So that's.
Yeah, I was thinking like these gets rid on the turn.
I think turn's such high frequency check unless I'm completely washed with range in me. All right then.
Yeah, that's
at least Duty can feel good that he could have bluffed you, Marcus.
Yeah.
I just expect. I don't know how the flop plays anymore. Like I think, like even if it's so low flop, you expect like over half your range.
Yeah, I agree for sure. But then I think you play. Let's go for 14 Thierry Henry.
Ooh, that's a great choice, I think.
Yeah, I think you do bet wide. But anyway, let's keep going.
Young man faces 3.5x BVB.
Oh, I saw this as well.
I think I played against Brown Baller a bit on ACIA, and I was like not really enjoying playing against him blind. So we have
check flop.
Overbet delay. Yeah. 3.5x though. Do you get to range bet ace 10 for? Obviously, normally range bet comes from good pot odds pre huge equity advantage for the LP player.
Yeah, I was thinking how much it changes when I was thinking how much it changes when he 3.5x. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to play more checks.
King 10 seems forced call.
Yeah.
Okay then. Okay then. I mean, surely this one can't go to showdown.
This is just like some guy who wants to win the pot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking like of the hands so far, if I could comb my whole lifetime database, would I have found like a single hand like this? I mean, I guess Duddy's King Queen is about the limits of my potential. All right, we've got overbet shove from Brown Baller. The problem with this line, in my opinion, appears to be that King Queen offsuit should be like extremely prevalent in Dan's range, and normally you don't want to play 4x, 2x, 2.5x
you
shove
think,
and like
just
symmetry.
flashing back to the turn, George, you think that facing this 1.5 turn, King Queen off here, pure calling?
I'd say at least mixed call, and like when you have a hand which is 16 combos, like mixed call is going to matter a lot.
What's the pre-flop 3-bet frequency for King Queen offsuit these days? I don't really keep up with the times. It doesn't 3-bet pre-flop, I guess, or
I think small mix.
Not often versus 3.5.
I think small mix. You have to fold against 4-bet.
Yeah, true. Okay, so we have a lot of King Queen here, and we don't tend to want to fold it against this bet.
Yeah, I mean, it beats all the bluffs and can improve to nuts, right? So
yeah.
But
so you don't win in check line.
So you guys are getting suspicious. The
thing is,
I'm like it's so hard because a lot of these kind of spots depends so much like who's the guy, like what level is he's on. I don't really know anything about Brown Baller.
Yeah.
So if you see like a good rake do this, you're like, oh, that's a bit scary. But then if you see some like 2K, 1K, 2K, or 5K regularly, this there's a lot of low stuff that miss. I know what you had here, but
King 3, Queen Deuce. The thing is, right, what Marcus is kind of, I would say, the summary is kind of like, if someone knows that you have all these King Queen off combos and they know it's not an overbet spot, which again could be wrong, but you don't expect them to be like jacking themselves to suddenly bluff way bigger than their range wants to bet.
yeah, exactly.
But then no idea what kind of level Bramble is on as well, and I think he could easily just assume King Queen off isn't in range for whatever reason.
He's not repping much here. Can't really have because his turn overbet is kind of like the trapped flop, strong ace and then ace 5. If he plays polar on the flop.
Yeah, pocket 5.
Yeah, ace 5 on the river, you're not shoving it. You have, even if you, let's say, ace 10, shoving it. Ace jack, I guess. Even that, probably don't want to, for it. I mean, it's 3x, but yeah.
King 10, in theory removes value, although King Queen surely should be pure turn check for OOP. And then 10 obviously could.
So you guys would rate this hand somewhat callable, given that it's a bit of a suspicious line, basically.
I think definitely.
Kind of. I don't think so though, because I think your 10 is useless, and your king is
you block pocket 10s, right? Pocket 10s could somehow go for this trap, and obviously is strong enough to value rip. So it could be a good card.
Your king.
I mean, I've seen the results. So
the most important thing about poker is if you just call bluff catches when people are bluffing. So I think if you have a bit of history with the opponent or whatever, then that matters way more than blockers. So yeah, let's see what happens. Oh my, 7-6 offsuit for the 3.5 xer.
Yeah.
Disrespectful
I think you can open it if you play links.
Okay. I mean, I actually don't know too fast, so you might be right. It seems.
I think you can play a bit more polarized, I think. I don't know. I think Dayan just called because something didn't add up.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like it.
Yeah.
Sniffed out.
It's good read. Good read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think good read.
Mark, you're up.
I don't think he would call this against a lot of the other guys. Though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He'd be scared that he's up against some sort of slow played, thinner value hand.
Yeah.
Second of 7-6. You're all right, Marcus. Actually, 7-6 off in there. My bad. Apologies for the pre-flop diss.
I'm choosing for you, Marcus.
Yeah, you're not so watch up.
Look, this is a nice one for you guys. Friendly pair of 10s for a friend.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to call it, Marcus, or should I?
You can be the commentator.
Okay. So we've got Italian donkey smoking a cigarette, calling the free bet, calling the flop, force line so far. That's a Manuela kind of turn, trust me.
Yeah,
Played some
that's an Italian turn, definitely.
Yeah, these kind of turns are coming in a lot more often than they're supposed to. Let me tell you that much. It's a little bit suspicious, to be honest.
What's strategy here, guys?
How deep are we?
That's a good question. I guess I'll just wind back. So we're one buying to start the hand.
I would half pot the turn, but any strategy that is, I think all sizings are kind of okay.
I think you have to have bigger than that. You cannot go small.
Yeah, I think small would be fun. You want to have some bets to check back the river, so I would go big in the half patch as well.
Anything over half pot.
How do you guys do it in game these days? Do you think to myself, okay, I wouldn't mind a few different sizings here, and then you hit an RNG up for a sizing?
I can give you a nice secret rule.
Okay.
If the guy bets small on the flop, you bet big on the turn. If the guy bets big on the flop, you bet small on the turn. Very good roll.
I'll have to edit that out of the video because you've given away too many secrets now.
Too much value. Unless you want to trick him.
But guys, what about if we do this? Little check back.
Yeah. Spicy Italian thing, mate. But when you don't have to have fear when you've got this Italian account, trust me, 4 of diamonds coming. Fine. But I think it's fine anyway to check back pocket 10s, obviously.
Do you think it's a GTO frequency thing, or do you think it's an opponent-specific attempt to create some further river action?
I think it's...
Should we be a little bit results-orientated in this hand? Because he's going to get the check rip on river.
Remember, it's going on YouTube, Mark, mate. Steady on.
Yeah, guys, it's not too much strategy.
But yeah, I will see legitimate points. I stand from Duddy as well. Again, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
no thing. I just
interesting one for sure. At least from my perspective, I mean, these kind of plays in PLO are a thing. You're checking back nuts in a lot of different spots in PLO, but in Hold'em, I mean, last time I played this game, nobody's checking TT on the turn here.
Yeah,
the funny thing is that it's
pretty rarely are.
The funny thing is that in no limit, I think it's more important to keep your checking range strong than in PLO.
Yeah, with overbet, exactly, being an option.
Yeah.
Let's, if it's my turn,
yep.
Let's go for number 12 again for Thierry Henry.
Oh, you've done very well here, George. This is a personal favorite hand of mine. Personal favorite. 4-ball here.
Yeah, another blind me blind 4-bet pot.
Blind me blind 4-bet pot.
My Mark's speciality. All right. We get a check on Queen 9-3. All right. I mean, it seems reasonable, but again, in my games, mate, when people see a Broadway, they're hitting the bet button. And then Ace 10.
Backdoor straight and flush.
Yeah, but it's very good backdoor straight and flush. You know what I mean? I'm a bit scared to like bet this kind of equity when we turn so much. But I also am known for being scared to bet in general, so maybe it's fine. But I would check, I guess, and bet like a bit more polarized.
Mark, anything?
I guess check. I think bet makes any sense. But sure, let's just bet. Try to win the pot.
Can't be that bad, right?
From my perspective, the only thing that's awkward about the bet is the sizing, because say we get called, we're going to have to full pot rip, like if we want to be bluff shoving, like some kind of turn where we make decent equity. And is that what we want to do, like a full pot turn jam? Is that what we want to do with top pair? Feels kind of like too big.
I don't think you shove. I don't think you play too straight strategy here.
So you turn the jack of spades and you bet like third pot in position kind of thing?
Yeah, or more likely probably just check.
Nah, jack of spades is bet call, but then like jack offsuit, you can probably just check, and like play. So I think that in the 4-bet pot cack, you just play more polarized, where like if you turn open ender, just check it back and just bluff with your like king 7 or whatever it is that you've called with pre-flop instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that makes this quite a risky play. With that in mind, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more I'm concerned about flop raise.
I think flop is not so risky.
Yeah, we can just call it off here, in my opinion. So I would just always do that.
So just to confirm, how many chips? Prodigy's sitting with 7k behind. And into a 7k odd pot.
Oh, okay. Wait, I misread the SPR. Let's go for 2,200.
I would check.
Oh, Mark, mate, you're playing too much PLO. Flush draw nuts and hold them. Trust me, you're hyped. I'm hyped here. Hyped to get ripped on and then hit.
You tried to make ace king fold or something like this.
Yeah, ace king's not. Yeah, ace jack, ace king. It's not like you're like thrilled here with these hands. And now I guess just call. No, we must. I know we're not going to call because Kathy wouldn't have picked the hand.
Yeah, I saw the hand.
I'm
still confused. I know what's happening here.
It must be a value jam if he jams. It must be a value jam. I don't think it's a very good jam.
I'm confused about this because I think it has to be a value jam.
Because like Prodigy can't reopen
But what's he value shoving against? Yeah, it's not that easy to have a 9, right? As the 4-bet ace 9 and suited. I mean,
I think it's hard.
Ace 9 here on a 10. I don't think so. Could be wrong, but yeah.
I know the
ace 10 is
so
strong.
I guess he could have king 10, the other player.
Yeah.
I mean, we block what we get called by. I mean, surely you have to consider other hands that could be in Prodigy's range besides the rare king 10 and ace 9 suited.
Pocket jacks is surely the most likely hand of all for Prodigy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then like value shoving is
like
crazy.
Astronomically the most likely hand as well because it's 6 combos.
So there's no chance that this is a bluff then.
I think the thing is, right, I think it's a bluff, and I think it's a very, very bad bluff. Sorry, Mr. Dobler, but it's insane to bluff though. So who knows? Yeah. Maybe I'm washed though. Maybe it's just good. Oh, he folded the pocket jacks. Genius, bro.
I don't know what this play is either, man, but this was one of the weirdest hands that I saw, and I thought it was really awesome. Is he just trying to fold him off jacks? It's such a crazy line.
I think Owen's range might genuinely just be only jacks here.
It is a strange reopen size on the river, I guess. I mean, because if you think your opponent is rivering a 10 and you have that beat, surely you're shoving this a lot, you know, with this SPR1.
Yeah, it's a pointless check. Pointless but small. But I don't know.
This is unfortunate. This kind of line, honestly, is like they're like the spot where I just have such high chance of being like completely wrong. So for all I know, maybe it's just bot from both of them. But someone let me know in the comments.
It looks stupid, but like, who knows?
If this is bot, this is quite sus stuff from my perspective. I mean, this is very odd play. But
Oblu from some kind of South American country, though, right? He has some kind of passion in his blood. It's like, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta like, go with the Vamu.
Yeah, I'm confused by this one.
It's a strange one.
But is Queen 9 deuce? Can you range bet?
I feel like Owen would know better that if it was a range bet, he would have found that quite easily. So I would assume there's some sort of checking shit going on.
Yeah.
There's also this big trick
or there's some advantage to doing it.
Yeah. Also, pocket jacks, to be honest with you, mate. So like, it's like you can play everything when you've got the pocket jacks, mate. But also, I think the other thing is there's a lot of it is to do with how much ace queen off you full bet pre, and there's like lots of like tiny node locks which make ace queen go from pure to 0 and stuff like this. So who knows what Mr. Prodigy like
betting ace queen off.
Well, yeah, obviously you see the aggressive action with marginal hand, you're going to take it. But I'd probably never thought about it. Which one we'd pick in, Mark?
I don't know which we're going. Let's go 6. We done 6?
I think so. No. Did 8 and 9.
He's back at it. Yeah. Okay. Min raise, free bet, 150 deep.
1, 2, 4.
I was pretty happy. Check.
Standard stuff here.
Yeah.
In terms of sizing choice, what's the current tech these days? This kind of bet or bigger or?
Yeah.
I would go bigger probably, but like 150 deep, I feel like
it's like a 60% sizing, right?
You get one of the only flops that you can properly polarize like 150 deep with like quite marginal overpairs. So I would want to take advantage of that.
You cannot range bet this, right? From small blind.
Nah, I think you can, but really. I'm a fish, no? So you can't range bet this.
I mean, again, like maybe I'll be proved wrong, but like this, I'm pretty sure not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's not what we were looking for.
We had a nice, easy board to play, and now it gets awfully hard.
The thing is, mate, I would still bet, but I do not like to bet 1/3 against my opponent's screen name that much. I'll be honest. So let's maybe take this line. It's quite cowardly on the river, though. Surely.
Yeah, this is like
too weak.
This is childish.
Yeah, it might be okay at equilibrium, but this is like one of these spots where like you have to give someone credit for being like finding the Manuela pocket tens check backs and stuff like this, and like obviously we get this, and now like we just have to call given what we've done with our. I mean, we don't have to call because our cards are terrible. Yeah, our cards are terrible. But like given what we've done with our hand against Mr. Linus, I'm just like too pissed off with myself and just pay him off, mate. Like maybe he's got ace queen. Obviously he shouldn't do.
It's like not outrageous to have ace queen here.
It's not like completely out of the question if he like thinks this is a super weak line, but obviously I don't think we should call, right? Like of the hands we block the river with, having 2 offsuit kings is not going to be high priority to pay off the rest of the bet, and the rest of the bet is quite big. We get to fold some okay hands.
But that's like also a reason maybe that's why Inquisition shows ace queen here.
Yeah, I mean you're not allowed to show ace queen here, but like I can imagine a good player thinking to do it with this exact logic. But then again, like probably not, because they don't think a guy's got pocket kings for block, so they're not going to try and do this big play.
I think ace queen does should raise, but maybe not all in. Seems weak.
I've seen a lot of play in this challenge, by the way, where people have done this exact thing. They've like taken a pretty small line, then just got pissed off and just called off the rest. see what happens. Yeah. It's like whatever.
Good or not
Do we
good?
think Linus has value here?
I think
no. I think he's got
because we see this hand,
threes
let's think of the logic.
Freeze with a diamond or something like this. Pocket fours with a diamond. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I think probably bluff.
Oh my hit.
Very nice, George.
I mean, pocket fours and threes, I think, are actually kind of close on the flop. But I didn't think Linus was going anywhere with them, so.
Yeah. I think the kings, it's a bit childish line.
Yeah.
I like that word choice, the childish line. I feel like you guys will have seen this hand. This probably had to come into your circles.
Oh my god, yeah.
We went over time.
But talk me through the decision of the turn barrel, and then the river blast. Is this a standard decision on the turn? Blocking obviously some ace x and king x flush draws that his opponent can have. Having some equity. Turn seems pretty good, right?
We've done some investigations into this hand. We had to launch. This hand triggered a big investigation.
Yeah, I thought it might. So what's the answer? Is this a full? Like, I'm washed. I guess this is a punt jam.
I think the problem is that Linus's hands flop fold, turn fold, river fold. But obviously, like when you see this kind of hand, these guys aren't trying to like imitate the solver, right? Like they're like trying to get one up on each other, which is how you make real EV, right? So if you're playing this kind of challenge, you don't want to just be imitating the solver the whole time. Chris's line, I actually don't think is that bad because like all of your seven. Yeah, flop's a bit loose, but like it's the problem with Chris's line, right, is like it wouldn't be that bad. It's like slightly too spewy in a very scary line, which generally is not a terrible thing to do. But he's found the exact opponent in game where like this is like a really, really, really where you get like max punish for this kind of mistake. So yeah. But it's like monstrously disrespectful from Linus, but then he's like kind of been vindicated for his disrespect. So who knows, mate? But again, not really hands that I've been playing in my career.
Given the meta game of what happens with both of the players, then who would you say makes the better decision in this hand? Like if Chris knows that Linus is coming as wide as a king on the turn, a dry king.
I like Linus's line more. I think.
And like, I think Chris is like he's taken a hand which is too wide on the flop, and then not played it terribly on the ladder streets. Like turn seems like mandatory, and then river depends on how much you think you've got lower pocket pairs or whatever. Whereas Linus is like kind of decided to go all the way from minute one. It's very hard to evaluate.
Was all offsuit kings supposed to fold the flop? Like no backdoors? Yeah. How big was the flop pot?
It was 90%. No, it was 90%, I believe. Yeah, 90%.
Yeah. Okay, 90%. It's under the gun, but to be fair, I sent it for pot, I think, so who knows?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not like you flat the cutoff with you flat the button like 15% range or something, right? And you have a hand which like can't even improve to beat like a big part of the value range already. So yeah. I mean, like you have to say Linus's line is correct, right? Because if someone ends up with Jack 9 here, like even a bit often, you can kind of do this, but it's a slippery slope from both players involved. But we have to give Linus the benefit of the doubt for navigating the slippery slopes given his career progress. Yeah, go ahead.
Like my opinion, when the guys were going over this hand, I was like, well, what's the difference with the ace and king? Like it's almost the same. Like if you're ace deuce or king queen, like it's not so different.
But can't Chris rip an ace to bluff Linus off the chop? Like I used to do this play all the time where like I would blast and just rip because it's such a bad spot for them. They've ace 10. They chop a bunch and they lose to your value. The king is like a superhero call here.
I gotta say, I only now just realized that like ace kicker doesn't play in the river.
Ace queen's too thin to do this on the turn. There's a problem with this logic.
Yeah.
So like,
you don't aces.
Yeah, but I think like it is too thin, but it's a very classic human mistake to just play ace queen this line of time. At least I think it's too thin. But I kind of think it's very dangerous to call the river king.
Also, this spot depends so much whether button has ace king offsuit in pre-flop range.
He obviously does though. He likes to play with tricks and stuff. This is basic pre-flop trickery. He's got to be doing this for sure.
Yeah, I have no clue.
After the new guy, mate, trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But my opinion of the hand is that let's say solver says that you're supposed to call ace deuce on the turn, like fold king queen, but like how big can the EV difference be? Like you have one card and like blocker and still like I just don't respect no limit blockers anymore.
Yeah.
It's so it's childish. I think it's so much about the one card.
The thing is, Mark, is like there'll be a lot of guys who are like looking at the solver and be like, it's 5 big blind difference, it's huge, and so on. And like they're kind of right, but then obviously you are also kind of right. If a guy's over bluffing, the 5 big blind
I
probably
over
doesn't make a
bluff
difference.
like 1% too much, 2% too much here. Like every king just wins, every ace just wins. So that's why like I don't like I like line just blind more. You just decided the guy over bluffs and call him down, even though
But the
solver might
thing
say
is,
so.
we can also say to continue the slippery slope analogy, like if you're taking like your slippery slope strategy where you decide to do something which could be max punished, it's a good idea to do if you've got like a big old slope to slip down, which like Linus he does. So yeah, so I guess from that perspective, we can say like the old guys got allowed to do it more than the newcomer. But I don't know. I think like Chris as well. You have to like he's like showing up to play this game and he's like playing his like actual normal game, no fear against like a guy like Linus. It's like not easy to click these buttons against Linus as well. So you have to
This
give some
would
credit
feel
to
like
that.
such a dangerous click. I would be so scared to bluff a hand like this against a dude that I know is good and I know is the station. Because this kind of bluff, I mean, he directly blocks what, like 5 combos that are folding?
Yeah.
It's brutal,
Let's
right?
say like my opinion that in this challenge, let's say you have this rear spot. I don't know against how many guys the rear bluff is winning. Like I think it's less than like 10% the rear bluff is winning on the rear in the challenge.
You need some strong hands to fold. I'll just very quickly chime in to say, like, obviously, like, anyone watching, we're seeing Linus's screen, them coming up on the screen, and we're being like, oh, here we go again, boys. But obviously, Linus is not some mindless station, like mindless monkey as well. Of course, like he's like maybe like the highest EV of all the players in the field. It's just because like when he's involved, he's got the potential to make like these like wild plays, but he's also like capable of making like extremely like good adjustments in the opposite direction as well. So yeah, like just to get that disclaimer because maybe it seems like we're like treating Linus like he's like a 200 aggro station.
I said I like Linus play.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's so easy to root for, though, is that he always shows up to make the play. Yeah, it's just nice from a fan standpoint.
If you're railing someone, yeah, when the cards go to showdown, mate, anything could happen. Anything could happen. Whereas like with some of the other guys, you can like put them in a very narrow range even before the cards are shown. So yeah, it's sick.
Let's go to whatever hand 1 is.
Cool. So min raises, very very strong player in my opinion, Matt Marinelli, and then we get a free bet.
Is this standard, by the way? I don't know anything about pre-flop hold'em.
Seems like a good hand choice, but for a bigger sizing, in my opinion. Yeah, like you want to have polarized combos like this in there, and it doesn't really matter much which ones they are. But going to 11 big blinds this deep from the big blinds, not for me, but can't be that bad.
Do we like c-betting in this scenario in general? What's the flop strategy here? Big blind against cutoff.
Doesn't seem like the flop for us. Again, like big blind cutoff, 130 deep. Who knows, mate? But it doesn't seem like the flop we're looking for when we free bet the cut this position because we don't have like 10s, 9s in our range. We have some like connectivity in 2-pair, but also super symmetric board and like tends to push for a more passive strategy when you're deeper on boards where like both players have the nuts in position drives the action more.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
How about a c-bet, a raise, and a call?
Also, again, like player type. Matt Marinelli kind of like in some lines, like Linus miniature, mate, and like I'm not thrilled like betting wide and like obviously this is a board where I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to bet that wide, and you've got the kind of like
medium
guy who's not going to be letting you get away with it. Yeah.
Like even when he sizes down the flop doesn't mean it's range betting. So
yeah, of course not.
Are you going anywhere here, guys? Out of interest?
Wait, is this half pot or pot?
It's half pot.
Half pot. Okay, good.
We have.
I think you probably still have to call, I guess. I just don't know how wide we're bet calling the flop. Like,
yeah.
There's so many of these hands.
kind of.
Yeah.
Has outs
You don't know.
improved.
Yeah, how many
I would
overfolds do you have
probably
on the flop?
I would probably still fold though. That doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Or like king queen. Now we remove value. We beat bluffs. We remove bluffs a tiny bit, but not much. Feels like reasonable-ish to call. Like tens is like one of the tens and king jack are some of the most likely value hands to take this line. We remove them both. Obviously, the problem with calling this kind of hand, of course, is that like there's lots of guys who call kind of linearly by hand strength. So they like to call and they have like I can't know,
top pair or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, in this example, it's kind of obvious that ace queen is not really a good hand to call with, but some guys like call that, and then they also call the blockers, and then it creates like madness. But
where does aces go? Does aces fold sometimes the turn? Just a
surely
retarded.
aces are not betting the flop very often at all, right? Like
Yeah.
I think you call the turn to beat stuns if you bet, but
yeah, I was thinking.
Like kings is obviously best. Well, I mean, is it? No, probably not. I don't. I mean, you're calling nothing as well. It's like piss, mate.
Is the 10 of diamonds playing much of a factor, given that it blocks more of the potential value raising combos on the flop? I don't know if in position raises 10-9, but probably queen 10.
I'm not at the kind of level where I can think about suits, Kaki, trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
but I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like 7k to win 28k, right? Like, how bad can it be when we have a hand like this? And we're looking for like ace king, I guess. Like ace king is a bit weird.
Ace jack, ace king, maybe this kind of hand.
King 9, but
ace jack makes sense.
I'll play through since we're slightly pressed on time.
Yeah, sure.
But I was surprised to see the suited ace king.
Yeah.
Is this flatting pre-flop also, or just 4-betting? Or what's the deal?
I thought ace king done something terrible here. It's like.
I think he must think that the flop c-bet's way too wide to take this line.
Yeah, I think so.
That's why this has happened.
So he's making a read which is potentially accurate. We don't know, obviously.
Yeah,
I think it could definitely be accurate, and he's just
that the dude is possibly even range betting.
Even if it's like accurate, like I don't think you want to like raise and shoot pass it off ace king. Something else.
Yeah, the ace is a reasonably negative card outside of the equity.
He did flat the cutoff though, so you're a bit limited.
He does have the suit that unblocks backdoors. Maybe this is playing something into his mind slightly.
You don't pocket fives, right? But then you hit a set. So what can you do? You can like I guess you have you're deep enough. You have like lower pocket pairs, but then your twos hit a set as well, mate. So you like you got.
You would seriously consider raising the flop with an underpair in this spot.
I think that's what you want because you're like you want to be polarized with your bluffs really when you're in position with like lowish SPR, and like these have like emergency set out, as you can see by the board, becomes useful sometimes. And yeah, like they unblock folds, and like you want to bluff something which doesn't destroy it, blow itself up. So why not?
Can you hear me?
But yeah, I can hear you, Mark.
You didn't say anything until just then.
Yeah, my internet just died, and now I can hear you, but I cannot see the screen anymore. Let's quickly.
George, you got to leave soon, huh?
Yeah, well, I've got a big paddle game. Yeah, we can maybe speed run one more.
We'll speed run one more, and maybe we get back into it after or something if one of you guys is still around or both of you.
Yeah.
I'll just hit up this random hand. Actually, you know what? I'll try and find something that's going to waste our time a lot. Like, there's some really nice random stuff. Whatever, let's talk about this hand. This hand's good enough.
Cool.
So we got a 3-bet pot.
Yeah, I think Marcus might be gone, but we'll go.
I came back. I'm back.
Okay, nice.
We got 3-bet pot, Marcus, and we got I don't know, slightly less than half pot, 45% c-bet.
Yeah.
I'm love the 40% nowadays.
Deeply unhappily, but calling. Yeah, I think.
Just call.
Got a call.
Marking it to review. Yeah.
Do you have leads on this flop?
Nah.
Blind v blind.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not a good flop. It's obviously not a good flop for the 3-better, but not good enough to lead because not enough nuts for us, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this turn, though.
Turn?
Yeah, turn seems much more reasonable to consider leading with ace queen advantage and like some flushes and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there's a dangerous again.
You probably can't donk the ace-8 of spades though, right on the turn.
you want to. I think it's a bit too light, but you want to have this kind of hand, a bit better, I would guess. And yeah, then we get to the river, and we have to decide: do we need to bluff? And the answer, I would say, is probably yes. How wide? Either 45% on the flop. Nah, maybe not. Nah, probably check.
I don't think you can check. Like, how much worse hands do you have here? 9-8?
Depends a bit on. I also have Lee's strategy. He went tiny on the flop. That was tempting to cause some pockies with clubs. No.
Ace-9.
Okay. I thought pox all fold the flop.
Pocket sevens.
Yeah, this is the problem you see with not being sharp. Like this kind of spot, you just got in, right? Because like we're like thinking like, what should we bluff? But we don't even know what we've got in our range.
Yeah, but you know the fold threshold.
If you do bluff though, you wouldn't overbet this, I imagine, or would you consider overbetting this hand?
I don't think there's lots matter that much here.
There's lots of ways you can choose to like what size. I don't even think it's that bad to like I don't think it's like that important to choose which bluffs go and which size. And I think the EV differences aren't that huge. But yeah, I think you're probably right that like this has better blocker probabilities to bluff for a smaller size, but I just don't think it's super important.
Yeah, let's go with spot because like Politician doesn't really want to like what's like the weak hands you want to bet here? Do you really want to bet king queen? Like
yeah, just about. I think was your other options check. I think so.
Yeah, that's like seems quite weak.
And then like yeah, this line I think depends on how much respect you give to your opponent, how thin you want to go. And
are people just shoving with the straight here these days? Like, is that how Hold'em gets played? You got queen 9, you slow play the flop, dog shit turn, check, just rip it in their face on the river.
I think so.
People like to probably correctly so as well, because like again, like if both me and Marcus don't think this is a particularly good time for the imposition player, which means he should like respond by preparing for this scenario, and like whether people actually prepare or not is like up for debate based on your opponent. Yep, I guess like it's not a thrilling spot to be in as Owen with many hands, but
he's going to prepare with quite a interesting hand.
Yeah, I think it's kind of natural to end up with ace king in this line, and then river call. Your removal is just so good with the ace of clubs, right? So I feel like it's like I would call as well.
He's fine.
Not really one for calling for
is stabbing this hand on the turn something to consider, or is it just like he needs to play defense and give himself some calls for plays like this from Matt?
I think get a bit small and turn check the river. It's fine. The ace of clubs.
But check the turn though. I feel like you want to like this hand plays very nicely in like the check line, like beating the king 9, king queen reopens. Like being able to raise river on some cards, being a good bluff catcher on some cards, and like almost if you're playing the small turn bet, you kind of want to have like not the ace of clubs in a way. I think with this kind of hand, but I don't know, mate. Who knows? These guys probably know better than me.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say yeah. The main thing about this hand is I think whether Marinelli plays leads on the turn or not. It completely changes the river, I think.
Yeah, and also
surely, I think you have to have leads.
I think so as well, mate. But like, would I fall off my chair if I opened the solver and there wasn't any leads? Probably not.
Yeah.
And full half off. Yeah. Sick
I think
hands anyway.
Really you have to bluff. I think you have to bluff.
And also, just very last thing I'll comment before I go is like this. There's a lot of like table variance in this challenge as well. And like this is an example like free-handed where you can have big win rates free-handed, and you can't really have big win rates six-handed. But then you have like these players, and then like often there's like much weaker lineups in different time zones as well. So it's something to keep an eye on. I wonder if people will be like switching time zones more to avoid the like perceived strongest players, or like the six-handed games, which I think no one really likes six-handed, and then also you can't really expect to win. So
I'm a bit surprised they didn't make it like 400 tables. Something that
would be better. It was an option, but I think it was less appealing for some of the dudes who were taking a bit of a shot. You know?
Yeah,
and that's important to consider when we're talking about continuing to have regular action, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it seemed like it balanced itself out well, given that they do put in quite a lot of hands every day.
Yeah, when you go from 400 tables, it's gonna be Linus, Yasan, Davies in 3-hand, and there's one seat open. If you join, you know, like no one else is gonna be able to join. So
yeah,
maybe the 6 knocks makes more sense.
It kind of does, but then like I think it's like if you play poker, you want to win, right? And like, and 600 zero rake, your scope for winning is like still kind of limited. But I think people don't really think so much about the win rate.
Yeah, I think some people are just showing up to support the idea of what's happening more than they're caring about, you know, do I win in this lineup and stuff. Which is cool.
Sick, and is what you need. You don't want the guys like me and Marcus sat on the side, cowering in fear and afraid to play like a minus EV game.
Yeah.
All right, George. I guess you head, man. I'll kill the recording here, and we can pick it up again later if you don't mind. We've still got probably a few hands to go.
All right, let's see it.
Out of interest, like I'm pretty washed hold'em. How much are you flatting this on the button as opposed to 3-betting?
Yeah, I think for sure legit in you know, with in games with higher rake, you could probably just play 3-better fold in most of the spots, but I think with no rake and stuff, flatting is pretty legit for sure.
What are we talking though?
I'm
less than half of the time for a flat? Still preferring to 3-bet or
for this hand?
Yeah.
No, I think this would be it. No, this would flat a decent amount of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it depends. Like I'm not actually sure how much EV you would lose by playing no flats. Like you would for sure lose some, but I don't know if it would be a ton or whatever. Anyway,
we're gonna see thirdaments on the flop. Actually, less. I guess it's 30%.
sure.
Now on turn, we got a bit of a decision, I guess. What are you thinking here on the turn?
Yeah, I mean, pretty dynamic card. I think in general, like other Broadway and an overcard is usually pretty good for the 3-better, but obviously like some straights come in and stuff. So it's not like not super amazing. And then if you just kind of think like on like half the deck, this kind of hand gets devalued and then doesn't want to play for stacks anymore. So it's not like you have the super nuts or something and like are just super fist pump getting money in, but you know, still have a strong hand and it's a good card for you. So like basically I won't look at any sims or anything. I'll just say what I kind of think. But yeah, I would just guess like this hand can kind of go either way here.
So you wouldn't pure check. You would consider betting sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think this would be a pure check. I think because the turn is pretty good for you, you still get to bet fairly aggressively or whatever.
But if you bet and get ripped with this hand,
yeah, it's just a bad spot.
You can't call, can you? Or can you? There's a lot of potential combo draws that could
guess it's
rip on you.
I would just guess it's like 0 EV. You're not happy and you make a read sort of thing. But yeah, like not yeah. It's
brutal
not like
spot betting
like
and getting jammed on.
Yeah, get shoved on and then you're happy or anything.
We're gonna see the check back this time.
Yeah, I think it's legit.
And of course, we're gonna see the shove. It's the little 4x rip, even slightly more than 4x. My math serves me.
Yeah. I mean, not a happy spot for sure. Nunez.
What's your guess as to the theory? Do you think it's theoretically a call or a fold?
No, it's got to. I would again just guess it's got to be like 0 EV, right? Like the guy's saying that he has something better than this hand. Like I don't know what the thinnest hand Prodigy can jam here is, but probably something like, you know, if he can jam Queen Jack plus himself, then obviously Queen Jack should always call, sort of thing. I'm not convinced that he can jam Queen Jack, so let's say his jam range is King Jack or better, or King Queen or better, or something like that.
Shoving Queen Jack feels a little ridiculous. That's Prodigy for 4x the pot.
right?
Quite crazy. Because checking back King Jack or even King Queen feels like a considerable play for the imposition.
I agree. So then, like, I mean, then you have like a nice hand in the sense like you don't block any bluffs, right? Like bluffs are just gonna come from mostly, you know, missed flush draws and then probably some 6x or something like that. Like, yeah. And then like he's never gonna bluff with a queen or a jack. And then you do block something like king queen suited or king jack suited, or maybe pocket jacks if he has that sort of thing. So you block a little bit of value. You don't block any bluff. So it's probably a slightly good bluff catcher. Whereas maybe something like if you check back the turn with ace king or something, like maybe that, you know, depending on the suits, that might block a few bluffs or something. So
what are you clicking?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it should probably just RNG this spot unless you have a read or something like that.
You don't have a read on the Prodigy?
No, like he's good, so I don't know. What happened? Yeah, he calls. Yeah, I mean, hard to blame him for calling. What does Prodigy have? Oh, a bluff. See? There you go.
It's not the most, like, relative to all the other hands, you probably picked one of the less interesting hands, but still interesting, especially from a washed hold'em player's perspective, seeing what the current technology that the people are working with.
I think it's pretty cool. Like, cool bet size by Prodigy on the river, right? Like, I don't know. That's super standard that someone just
I think these
ran.
days this kind of play seems extremely standard. Like when people check back and are narrowly capped, like obviously people can check back hands like this, or people could even check back a trap. I've seen some plays like that happening between some of these very good players where they'll check back like actual nuts and stuff to bait overbet rips. So I'm not sure if that's an exploitative decision to check back. Like we had a hand where we reviewed before where a guy checked back a set of tens which he turned like on a king 9 brick with flush draw in 3-bet pot. He calls a small c-bet, he turns a 10 and it goes check check, and then on the river he bets and gets shoved on and he calls and his opponent had a bluff.
Yeah.
It's interesting watching people make these trappy plays. Prodigy also makes an interesting trappy play. I'm not sure if that hand will come up in the hands that we have ready for you, but yeah, lots of these kind of plays where people will check back a turn, face a large overbet, and then sometimes have like a spicy trap. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Munez is like pseudo trapping here, but obviously you're not trapping, not necessarily to face the shove, but like
yeah, you're not hoping to get jammed on.
like
You are hoping
yeah,
your
you're
opponent
happy
will
if he
bluff
bets
with
like
something.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a cool hand. Right, we'll proceed onwards. Oops. Oh, jeez, what am I doing? Now this will be. By the way, do you know Llama? Are you a Vegas guy or?
I don't live in Vegas. I live in San Diego, but ironically, Llama actually is from like 5 minutes from where I'm from, and I went to high school like right near where he lives. I'm pretty sure he went to like a private school or something, so he didn't go to the same high school as me. He's like a year younger than I am, but it would have been kind of funny. We would have actually like gone to high school together. And I've met him. We've played pickleball and stuff in Vegas before.
Who's better?
I don't know.
At pickle. Not at poker.
I think no, I know.
You sound
He's
weak,
all right.
so I'll guess that you both fish.
No. I'd say we're both. I mean, I heard you play paddle or something, right?
Yeah, I'm 5 months deep into paddle, but my graph is going straight up. There's
Yeah. So
no
you're
variance
on
at
the
all.
rise. Do they have like a ranking system in paddle or no?
Well, actually, man, it's quite cool over here. So there's bunch of poker dudes, and they organize a league, and 32 players at least show up every week, and they play in 4 different divisions, you know, like first division, second division, etc. every week. And if you're in the top 2, you move up. If you're in the bottom 2, you move down. Quite awesome. It's very well organized.
In pickleball, they have rankings similar to tennis that are like, you know, like up to I think 6-0 or higher is like considered pro, something, and then So anyway, I would say Llama is good. He's probably like 4-0 or something like that, or I don't know. You'd have to ask him, but pretty good. And I think I'm better than him, but I don't know.
Okay. Yeah,
For
I
what it's
felt
worth,
like
he
you were
wanted to
trying to
bet
be
me.
nice or something, and
He wanted to, for what it's worth, he wanted to bet me to play me in singles pickleball, but it didn't end up working out because it's hard to get courts in Vegas. But I guess now his place has like he has his own private court or something. So who knows? Maybe the next time I'm out there, we'll get to play.
very nice, man. Yeah, maybe I'll come and teach you guys a lesson at some point.
I want to play. I've never played paddle, but I would love to play.
It's a great game, man. The glass is just too.
Pickleball.
The glass is amazing. I don't think you go back if you could play paddle. I think it's probably just better than pickle. The glass is too much fun. It's just too
biggest
big.
downside here is there's just like I think there's at least as far as I know, there's only like one court here. So in terms of just like
In Vegas, you mean?
access to courts. Well, I mean, I'm in San Diego. I have no idea of Vegas, but
Vegas wasn't amazing. It's kind of far away. It's like at least a 30-minute car ride.
yeah, I just don't think it's as popular. I would just say in
It's
the US
coming
in
up, I
general.
think. But yeah, it's not there yet. At least not there. Apparently in Florida, it's pretty big. But nonetheless, C Llama has got Jack 4 suited, and we're going to play a limped blind v blind pot. Doesn't sound too exciting, but it will get more exciting. Stab and array, so nothing crazy so far. I'll just kind of leave it running, and now we're going to see a check on the turn. Had you raised this flop, is there any chance you're finding a check back here, or what are you
man,
thinking?
I think it's similar to the like I think these are the things in I mean like we're at an SPR of I think Kevin had him covered, right?
Yep.
So
Pretty
you're at
deep.
an SPR of 1 million or whatever, and you have very far from the nuts. So like yeah, I mean I think basically like if you had well, I think you even trap some like actual nuts here, but like yeah, this hand isn't even like the super nuts or anything like that. So I think check back is legit sometimes, but also bet.
But you're mainly going to bet, I imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
You're going to want to take not only a turn bet, but a river bet, right? With this strength of hand in this situation.
Yeah. Like if again, as long as the river's not like a 4 flush or board pair or something, like I think you're pretty happy.
We see 70% call. And now on the river, what are you thinking for sizing? 2.4k pot.
I mean, I think the hand is probably worth let me think. A decent amount for sure. I should trap some stuff. An 8 improves maybe, but yeah, I think you could bet all the way up to some sort of overbet size here if you wanted to. I think like your hand is still pretty good. Obviously, like you don't want stacks to go in or anything, but you have a pretty strong hand for sure. I'm curious what Llama does. Yeah, I think this is nice. Good line by him.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and then yeah, you're pretty unhappy here. Again, like if you have some sort of read or something that helps, but otherwise, I would say this is the best 0 EV, and I would guess this one's actually probably like not a good catcher because you don't actually block any value. I don't think. I'm pretty sure Kevin in this spot now has to be shoving just boats plus in this line. I could be off, and like maybe has the nut flush or something, but
You think if Kevin
probably
has pocket fives, he's finding a rip here?
yeah, like even
Feels
that's what I'm
dirty,
saying. So like
honestly. Feels like a
right,
dirty
right,
shove.
right. So I mean, yeah, I definitely think you yeah, like Llama could still have boats in this line.
Too.
So and then could have a flush with a 10 blocker, which I think has to be better than some random flush. So yeah.
So you'd muck.
I would guess in theory that this one should just be a fold, or like I guess best case it would be like 0 EV and then a mix, and then more likely it's probably just a pure fold in theory, and then again, but it's like
Do you
it's
think
close
Kevin
enough
is
that if
going
you
to
have
show up with pocket nines or pocket tens, like in a limp pre-flop spot? I don't know if these hands limp raise or how they're played in blind v blind with no rake. Do you think they
I
limp
think so.
pre-flop at all, tens and nines?
For sure. Yeah, I think so.
So it's
like,
a legitimate threat that he could not only have 8, 9, and 10, 8, but also pocket nines and pocket tens. And a straight flush, obviously,
definitely.
which he doesn't block either.
Yeah, and then I think bluffs, I guess, just come from the counterfeit stuff mostly. Like those would be the most intuitive hands, right? Like
would you take a 9-5 here though and rip it?
well, I mean that's a nice one. Potentially you could even take trips, like an 8, and
right,
jam it
so
sometimes,
here's
right?
where it gets tricky, right? Because now we're talking about possibly a shitload of bluffs. If we could bluff with an 8, and we could bluff with 9-5, and we can maybe bluff with 9-10.
Yeah, 10-9 or even 10-5 suited if you have
Calling
that.
turns probably a bit dusty, right?
Yeah, that's probably yeah. So yeah, more like 9-5 suited, 10-9, or potentially an 8.
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky because you've got to make a decision on how you're going to bluff, if you're going to bluff with an 8 or not. Because if you end up over bluffing wildly, maybe somebody like Sea Llama will sniff it out and call. It could happen. But I agree. His hand looks like it has to be folded, but he tends to just not be wrong in these spots, at least so far.
Good for him. And yeah, cool line by Kevin. I'd be kind of interested in Kevin's shoes if you take all, like if you want the 10 of clubs or don't want the 10 of clubs, and then or if it doesn't matter too much, sort of thing. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I guess you sort of. I think it's kind of cool by him. I think you want the 10 of clubs because I was already saying before, like
that's the kind of flush that can bluff catch. Yeah.
Yeah. So that you block some of the ones that should call you. So yeah, probably a really nice line by both of them. Cool.
But yeah,
like, I think
disgusting to go broke
that,
considering the start of this hand is a $200 pot with almost 20k stacks.
Yeah. I think Llama probably knows that his hand is a bit out of line, but he probably just had some sort of read or something. Or maybe just RNG'd it, I don't know.
I reckon he just feel called it off. Fuck this guy. Cool.
I can see it.
But yeah, there's a spice
I heard him
there for
talking
sure.
about he was talking about the fuck, what was he talking about? Not the Torah, the other thing. Yesterday or
Zoran?
Yeah,
I saw him change his avatar. Yeah, it was a funny little conversation.
Yeah. So maybe he's been studying it and he knew.
I will be very disappointed, but yes, I'll investigate that for you.
Yeah.
Check this one out. I don't know if you know this player Beppe.
Yes, I know.
So you're playing it quite actively at the moment, as well.
Where's Beppe? Oh yeah, Beppe. Sorry. Yes, I am. And I think I'm gonna hop in this challenge. I'm still working on getting money on here. It's been a slow process, but I'll be in there at some point.
Now's a good time to start because the week's just ticked over. You know,
right.
like if you want to qualify for any of the stuff, your chances are just as good as everyone else, basically. Except obviously people have played one session. There's actually a VIP got into the main pool, and he's playing right now. I was considering doing a little sweat stream, but I had to finish this video, so maybe after I'll go and hop on and do that. Yeah, so we've got...
He might be off now. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, no. I was just going to say, we
So
got aces for Beppe,
rigged.
squeezed pre, and rigged was the opener, who then folded to the squeeze. And Petter on the button goes flat, and then calls the squeeze. Faces a micro Siba and peels. What are we thinking on turn here with aces, ace of hearts? Like, what are our different options?
So I mean, first thing I would think is the 9 is kind of a bad card.
Is Queen 10 suited gonna call our squeeze pre out of interest?
So it went 2.25 to like 13.5 or something.
Yeah. So not a monster squeeze.
Right. So and then again, there's no rake and stuff. So like I don't know exactly what the thresholds are, but presumably pocket 9s should be in there, and then probably some Queen 10 suited. Probably not 9-8 suited, King 9 suited, or Jack 9 suited, although all those are, let's say, fairly close, but I think too loose sort of thing. But also just like a lot of the hands pick up extra equity. So hands like Ace King and Aces for Epee get sort of devalued here. So it's
so
like
what you think he starts playing a bit of defense here with this 2 SPR, or?
So it sort of depends. Like there are spots, and again, I don't know in like a squeeze pot like this because I don't know exactly what the ranges look like, but sometimes like you have to play more defensively, or if the SPR is low enough and the other guy has like enough like pair plus equity hands, but not enough hands that you actually lose to with like ace king or aces, then having some shoves makes some sense sometimes because you make hands like the pair plus straight draw, let's say, or something indifferent. Does that make sense?
If you rip into a man, are you expecting them to never fold king queen? Or is that actually like a cooked hand here?
I think king. So like, let's say king queen should probably call, but then a hand like queen jack is probably close,
an
and I
auto
guess
fold,
folds.
surely.
And then yeah, and then you have like jack 10 or 10-9 suited, unless they're hearts. And that's like a pair with an open ender. And it's like so like that's why I would say I don't know the exact ranges and if this would be a spot, but potentially it could be a spot where you just ram it in sort of thing and just run the equity and you don't run into 2 pair plus often enough sort of thing.
Yeah, that feels like how I used to play this spot back in the day. The kind of no need to think, just rip and deny some equity. But Bepe's gonna bet half.
I think it's fairly legit for what it's worth, to be honest. Like I don't think it would be that bad of a line. I mean, I could be super off here, but
what do you think now?
So he goes half on the turn.
Yep, half and a flat.
And gets called.
Now there's 2/3 left on the river. Oh, slightly more, I guess 70%.
All right. I'm trying to think if this has to be like this river might be like a range check. Or like bet really small or something. Again, I could be super off here. I don't know the ranges and stuff in a squeeze pot, but it just feels like a disaster of a river.
How do you
like again when you go half pot on the turn, a lot of your range is ace king, aces, maybe king jack, king queen, and like are any of those hands happy to put in more money on this river?
Well, how about putting all of it in?
A cool line, man. I'm like, damn, this is pretty sick. So like obviously he's turning his I mean he's turning his hand into a bluff.
Well, he blocks ace king, so it's pretty tough to get caught by anything that he beats.
Right. Man. I'm gonna say in theory this I would be kind of surprised if this made sense, but Epee is really good, so he might know. But I think this is a spot where you just would probably be taking it easy on the river sort of thing.
If you were the imposition player and you have king jack, like are you finding a call here? King queen, are you finding a call?
Well, I mean, So like that's what sucks in this spot is like all your 2-pair stuff are they're all suited, right? So like you never have it's not like you ever even have a heart blocker or anything. Like you never have king jack offsuit with the jack of hearts or something, right? If you have king jack, it's like king jack of clubs or whatever. So yeah, it's a bad spot, right? Just I don't know. It does seem like
Do you
yeah,
think?
I guess tens just flicks it in, right? Like and just prays that you chop or something. Like again, I'm not sure because my intuition would just be like the out of position guy should play pretty passively here. Oh,
Yeah,
did he fold?
it does fold. Yeah,
Oh wow, damn,
yeah.
that's a sick fold.
It's a
That's
it's
a
a
sick
it's a
bluff and a
crazy fold. I mean, regardless of what the theory might be in this spot, Beppe obviously reads his opponent correctly because his opponent is willing to think, okay, this guy, it's impossible for him to have a blocker here. You know, I can have flushes, etc., etc. He's jamming this river card, blah blah blah. And you know, Peter obviously goes
yeah,
for quite a read here, saying this guy would not bet this river unless he had it, and he can't have the blocker. I mean, he could still have ace
yeah,
queen, to be honest, with ace of hearts, but anyway.
right.
Now he's also bluffing with aces. So Peter's
And sick.
gone and fucked himself in the ass, really, with that fold.
That's an awesome hand. Very cool.
Quite an interesting one, right?
I have both of them. Like
I don't know if you caught this, but there's voting on Twitter. We'd made the hand histories anonymous, so you can't tell who's who, and that's one of the hands for best bluff. I thought it had a good chance of winning because a lot of people will like that one, you know. Just the
what I've seen,
aesthetics of turning aces into a bluff, and also the fact that dude folds like near top of range.
yeah.
So quite a spicer. Yeah, man. So basically, I just fucked up, and now you're here to save the day. We were watching this hand, which you may or may not have seen. Some of these hands might also involve you, you know. So prepare your balanced, non-full reveal of strategy, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good at acting dumb.
Now you're actually a bad liar. I think you're too nice. So I'll just kind of catch you up. We were in the middle of this hand. Maybe give your 2 cents on this particular topic. So 270 BB deep in a single raise pot.
I know way too much about what's going on already. That's nuts. Yeah, this is funny.
Give a little crumb of information for the fans.
I can't. One thing though is that Chris he's a pretty aggressive player. He's one of the few players that I have tagged as a redliner on ACR.
Okay. So you'd rather just proceed through the motions of the hand than stop for the detour?
Well, I mean, he thinks he has a good hand and he's putting more money in. Oh, I'm facing an all-in from Joe Adams. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I was discussing a bit, and I guess it seems one thing that striked me about this spot is Peter can't have pocket queens, big blind flatting against the cutoff open. At least I assume that this is a zero flat, and even if it's some 5% crumb flat, it's pretty irrelevant going post flop. So when we're this deep, obviously, when we 3-bet, it's extremely bad for Peter, and he kind of can't really keep clicking. At least that's what I would assume. So therefore, because he check raises something like bottom or middle pair as well, and gut shots and stuff, and top pair, we can start value re-raising other hands like this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of 2 pairs on the board. You don't have queen 6 off, queen deuce off. 6 deuce suited. Maybe think we have.
Yeah,
Depends what you. Oh, you opened it like 220 or something.
I think so.
So yeah, 6 deuce suited is probably in there, but not a lot of 2 pairs. So like over pairs and good top pairs are still like are gonna be worth more than on boards where there's a lot of two pairs, like offsuit type of two pairs that the big blind might have an advantage in. But yeah, so kings is pretty good here. So yeah, let's see what happens next.
Is kings good enough for another value bet?
Yeah.
You would mix a check sometimes, or what's kind of the thought process? Would you rather check back a different hand than an overpair that doesn't interact too much with the top pair? Obviously, it blocks king queen, but
that's an interesting question. Would I rather
check a queen?
Okay, so check a queen. Well, the good news is that we unblock queen X to call again. And I think our hand is pretty vulnerable to getting sucked out on. So I don't know. I would probably bet kings again and then evaluate the river. Like if the river comes like really safe, I'm gonna go for another bet. Like I would consider like a 10. Any board pairing river that's not a queen would be pretty safe.
What sizing would you go
Um, That's an interesting question as well. When we're super deep, part of me wants to look for a geo sizing. But at the same time, I want to look for like I kind of want to. I also kind of want to do like a price setting size. I don't know. I think I would just go large. I think B75 is too small, so I would probably do like pot, and then what would geo be here?
Geo would be a small overbet.
Yeah, like 125, 150 or whatever.
Yeah, 125-ish, I guess. We can wind back to see Peter's stack.
Yeah, I guess since pot and geo are so similar, then I would probably just do geo. Yeah, I would just do geo and then probably check back if I got scared on some of
So
the runouts.
if you, I mean, that actually, yeah, so I guess it's like 5 and a bit K or something. But so you think that for 5K, Peter is going to find call all top pair? There will be no folding for Peter, or? But I guess you also get value out of a 6x or deuce X of spades. But I mean, does he call a flop large 3-bet with a 6 or deuce that has a backdoor flush draw? It also feels a little bit optimistic because the flop 3-bet was not small. It was
1800, right?
yeah, it was a bit more than a 3x of a reasonable raise.
I think when we're this deep, we can still call bottom pair with the backdoor. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Because like if we hit like trips, like we're in a very happy spot, you know.
Are you though? Like they 3-bet you on the flop with pocket sixes and pocket queens a bunch as well. It's kind of got some sick reverse implied odds, right, to bang off trips.
I don't really actually expect queens to 3-bet the flop. Sixes, sure. Deuces, sure. But I don't really expect top set to do it.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like I think
it's PLO
mindset.
Maybe
Yeah, it's PLO mindset, and also like my mindset is my mindset might be a little wrong because like we're really deep, so like maybe we want to just start coolering people off with top set. But like the board is so dry that we don't need to like start the top set cooler. Like we can just call top set, and then if we face like the board isn't going to change enough where we're like not getting in with top set usually. You know what I mean? So like we don't lose our cooler. Like if the board was like a little more wet, then maybe we start fast playing top set to get the coolers in. But other than that, I don't know.
Okay.
So
Chris
yeah, I think
thinks similarly to you. He makes, well, I won't really call this an overbet. This is a pot size bet.
Yeah, I think that's I like that. I think that's good. I am curious though, like because and I would shove this river, but I think that uh talking about the size on the turn, we're kind of in Candyland right now, a little bit, right? And so, like, I think there's something to be said about when you are in Candyland that there are sizing tells, potentially. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, the further you go out of what everybody understands, the more that a read on what you're trying to sell, because we're all human, at the backbone, is going to be, something that you might play into. And you're the kind of player, from what I've seen in showdowns, that's definitely willing to make a read. We saw this hand with you and Kevin, where you had Jack High Flush in a limped and checked pot, and somehow got in 180 BB post flop.
I know, I know.
Was,
I think I was thinking about that hand. It's like, some like because there's a lot of people railing this challenge, and I feel like some people are gonna see that and just think I'm a fucking retard that can't fold a flush. There was a lot of thought that went into that call. Like, I'm not calling flush no blocker like for imp just cause, but
well, don't burn
yeah, no,
all of
there's
the precious image now, bro. You spent a lot to get it.
Yeah, no, that was I thought about that hand. I had a lot of thoughts there, but
Was it just a fuck you call, basically? Or what was going on there?
the thing about KP is that like I cannot stand the fact that he's using his like an image of himself as his profile photo. I think it's so cringe. So yeah, I honestly just yeah,
I
fuck you.
think he actually did that as a favor to me because I asked him to use an avatar, and he doesn't have one,
Uh,
I guess, normally. And so I just put one of his face because he didn't reply. And then I checked in later and I saw that he put, I think, the same picture, but I'm not sure. But
oh, that's
I'm
funny.
glad that you read into that and decided to
I
punish
read
him.
into it as like absolute cringe lord behavior. Um, but yeah, so well, you you got him stacked.
I'll send him half the money. It's okay.
Uh, um, yeah, no, but like going back into Candyland, that like I think there's a lot to be said. Like, when Chris doesn't do the overbet, like maybe he's more weighted towards value versus like when he does the overbet, he wants to get that little extra zest on the top to try and get a queen to fold. Like if he has something like 5-4 or is turning ace deuce into a bluff, he might really want to get that queen off the off the jizz. So that's
You would
something to
really
look into.
value rip this river, though?
I would, yeah, I would, and
So you
like,
expect that from Peter's perspective, is it like this is I'll give you my take and you tell me if it's wrong. So from Peter's perspective, he's got a queen. He can put Chris on having a 6 3-betting the flop and just blasting it away. Like especially a 6 that blocks the queen 6 suited. Is that the kind of thinking that might get him to call with a queen, or why would you expect a queen to call down for this line? And why would you think that he has that often enough relative to shoving for like whatever this is, 180% pot?
um, you're saying a lot of words,
Yeah.
and they're all valid. I think it's just like if I think my hand is good often enough, and I don't give a fuck, man. Like I like there's a million things you can think about in poker, and sometimes it's just like I think my hand's good, I'm gonna put the money in the middle, and if I'm wrong, oh well. You know what I mean? Like, oh well. Like I decided my hand was good on the flop by fucking 3-betting, so let's fucking run it, bro. Like fuck it. Plus we don't lose to queen 6 suited and queen deuce suited anymore, so whatever. Yeah, I would have fucking ripped it.
Now that you've
You
walked
know,
into this situation, what are you
yeah, and
thinking?
see the thing is like Lucas sat here. Yeah, I really don't like Luca's play, and I highly suspect because I know Luca's a little retarded. He's probably gonna call because he realized he set himself up for this, and then he's gonna like tilt call it all off. Yeah, I feel like I really there's we should not have any size other than all in on this river. You know what I mean? I just because like how the fuck are you supposed to balance this size with like nuts? You know what I mean? Like, if you have nuts here, like, is it really easy to be 75 on the river rather than just fucking 150 rip it? Like, nah, come on, man. You can't balance this size. And so you open yourself up to this like fucking suicide bluff with like, good odds when you like exactly announce your hand. So I would if I want to bet, if I don't want to jam this hand, I'm never B75ing. I'm just checking back. It's I hate this play. But I really don't mind the jam. I really don't mind the jam. Just put it in and run it. But the B75 I hate. I would flame this guy if I was coaching him.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot. I mean, there's some chance, right, that your opponent did have the queen six or queen deuce, couple combos, and he's now been counterfeit and deciding like, well, I have to bluff something or whatever. And he
The
might
thing
even
is
bet
you actually
aces or
don't really
kings.
have to bluff in spots. Like not every spot needs to have a bluff, especially when your opponent's range is like basically no bluffs. Or excuse me, especially when your opponent's range is like like all medium value. Like you actually don't need to bluff, and like they're getting really good odds. Yeah, you don't really need to have bluffs. You know what I mean? Like
So what would you do with a
you
counterfeit
actually see it in
queen
solver
six then?
sometimes.
What would you do?
Counterfeit in queen six, and I'm against Luca.
Yeah.
I well, I don't know. We have an interesting dynamic, but I would just fold. Because I think Luca at this point is pretty much announcing his hand, and he's the exact type of player that once he announces his hand, he can't fold. He's a little sick in the fucking head.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, classic. When he announces his hand, like we all know, like I called it out, like we know that once he announces his hand, he can't fold. You know what I mean? And so like, because he like, it's hard to fold after you announce your hand. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, like I'm like leaving myself open to exploitation. Um, so yeah, no, this he literally, that river size was fucking tragic. Check or all in, dude.
This is it. Your favorite player,
Decky.
Becky.
Decky taking the stands. Oh. Yeah, range bet board basically. Range bet board getting attacked by a check raise. What's new? Barack goes with the overbet.
Barack has slightly less than Decky. Barack has like 10k.
Okay. I mean, so far this is very, very standard for both players. I think on the turn you can actually split and B75 and overbet, but overbet's fine.
And is there anything to think about here as Decky? I mean, I would just not play this hand, If you dealt me into this spot, I'd just fold.
Yeah, I think fold's fine. The thing is like a seven is actually blocking the overbet range really, really well. And we also, if we have the overcard, right? Like if we had 8-7 here, like this is a no-brainer fold. But when you have the overcard, our two pair outs are actually going to beat, like if like I was only 17 has queen deuce, queen seven, like the king is going to be a clean out, right? I mean, and not clean in the fact that like jack nine gets there, but other than that, it's a pretty clean out. So I
I got a
think it's
question.
what?
Is our king helping us at all? Like, are we expecting that Barack is going to overbet some king queen on the turn on this two-tone board? Or is that not something we're expecting him to be doing? Therefore, the king doesn't really do anything.
I think when it's versus EP or middle position here, king queen is not worth an overbet unless you have an interesting dynamic going on. So final answer on that, yeah.
Okay. We're going to see this move.
um Okay.
Thoughts?
Uh, uh, I don't know. It seems like a low frequency thing, and I don't think I'd play min raises here. I think I play just kind of jam or call on a double flush draw. I guess maybe there's something worth looking at when you with the min raise to like exactly attack like certain flush draws, you know, that like are like certain draws. It might be good versus I it's not in my tech. I haven't studied it, and I know Decky doesn't really make mistakes, so uh yeah, I don't know. This seems a little rogue, but whatever.
Yeah, apparently this disgusting play is solver approved because
I mean,
when you
yeah, I believe it.
overbet, I guess small raises are still quite a rough price for this guy to continue with hands that are beat by a range that includes sets and stuff like that. But then I guess he wants to have some raise folds, and like you said, the 7 is blocking a lot of the stuff that's relevant, especially with the suit.
Yeah, 7 special. This is, I mean, like I said, Decky doesn't really make mistakes, so like I wouldn't really expect this to be wrong. It's more like it it definitely feels rogue as far as like frequency. You know, I this is not something you need to find just about ever. Um, but I'm sure it's in there a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, Decky's a good fucking player, man. Like he's really good. Strong, strong.
it's a strange looking hand to me. He told me it was apparently solver approved this play. He wanted to submit it for the bluff of the week, and I'm like, bro, you can't submit a value raise as a bluff of the week. You know,
Actually, I kind of like it as
even
a
though
bluff.
it's just too reggy of a thing though. You put this into a video as bluff of the week, people are saying, "Hey, he had the guy beat." What kind of bluff is that? But I get the point. Like, if your opponent is supposed to bet fold a queen here, on the turn.
I mean, yeah, I like that play a lot. It's really sick when it's like perfectly accurate. And the thing is like it really forces you into an uncomfortable dynamic as out of position, because it's like you now have to figure out how to play a donk strategy that you've never studied in your life. You know what I mean?
That's also a
It's like,
great
okay,
point.
like when the flush draw comes in, do we donk range? You know, when like every draw comes in, or like do we have to like are we like is it, I don't know the strategy because I literally haven't studied. It's rare that I haven't studied something. This is one of those things. Is like how often do we trap the min raise? Like do we ship all 7s versus min raise, or do we trap and then like I don't know. I would assume that when a flush draw comes in, like when the diamond draw comes in, we pretty much donk everything, and then maybe like half the time on the club draw. Uh, I'm not exactly sure what the strategy is, but it's
This is a spicer. So raise
all
3
right,
bet, and we're going to see the patented cold call in
cool.
position. Is this new technology? What is going on in the state of the games these days? Is this a no rake strategy? What exactly is happening here?
It's better in no rake, but
D-
when
Duty has the shortest deck. I was just checking the SPR.
yeah, I think this is totally appropriate as in theory. I don't think Kahan's really playing theory. Kahan's just doing his thing. Um, I think it's kind of interesting because when Kahan does this, like in theory, like you're supposed to like cold call like ace queen and some 9s and like whatever the fuck else you want to get in there a little bit with. I would actually put Kahan in a slightly stronger range than that to try and fuck with people. Like if Kahan had aces here, like I would not be surprised. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, okay.
So how are you feeling going post on like a 10-9 high board against this cold calling Kahan?
As T Duthweiler, I would check this board a lot.
Yeah, it feels like
Um,
a rough board, right? Just in general. The cold call is slamming it. Some queens, jacks, tens, nines. obviously.
Tens and nines a lot.
Maybe
and
suited broadways, still connecting reasonably well with the board.
Yeah, so I think I don't really know. I haven't studied the cold call range, strategy, but I would probably check quite a bit and then play check raises.
Would you check something like this though?
Yeah, I just check raise this.
Okay. He's gonna half-e and get flattered.
Okay.
Would you blast this card if you've done this?
This spot kind of sucks because, if we bet this hand, whenever we bet, it's scary to just get jammed on. The good thing is that we're out of position, so it's less likely for us to get jammed out of our equity because in position it's going to just realize. So I think we just B75 or whatever, or pot or whatever the fuck, and just fucking pray we don't get jammed on. I don't think I really. I don't know. I feel like check is fine, and then bluff later. Check raise is fine. Did he bet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
75%, like you were suggesting, and got called, and now he's got again 75-ish% left.
Yeah,
over 80%.
I think we. I mean, in theory, this is probably a pretty good bluff, or like actually an excellent bluff because we unblock all of Kahan's folds, and we have 7 high. Like, don't get caught up in the diamonds.
Yeah,
Kahan
he's
shouldn't
not
have a
cold
7 or
calling.
6 of diamond.
He's not cold calling
Yeah,
ace-7, ace-6, right?
or 8-7 of diamonds. So I think in theory this is probably a pretty good bluff, but I would not. I don't know if I'd really want to run this. I'd be pretty scared, and it's like mostly hoping for the optimism that Kahan has like the ace queen of diamonds or like king jack, king queen that he called twice in position.
What about queen
And
jack suited? You just don't think he cold calls it pre?
yeah, no, I did say queen jack.
Okay.
Or I don't know if I did it or whatever. Those type of holdings. I mean, I just wouldn't want to bluff this, man. I just feel like we get snapped off so much. Oh, thank God. Okay, on F. We don't get to see.
So that's the other part of the cold calling range that we forgot about with the misclicks.
The misclicks. Yeah, I briefly thought about that, but that's funny.
The sick thing is, like, he has a rep where you would think, all right, this guy might be the guy who plays the cold calls.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
100%.
so it kind of works out okay for him. He gets a great board and stuff. It's a fucking
Like,
amazing flop for this hand.
Yeah, like if I don't know if Prodigy cold call, yeah, I mean, yeah, there are some players that if they cold call, like you might think it's more of a misclick than that's funny. It's so funny. He has the he has the exact like hand that wants the theory bluff, but like it feels so sick, so you don't, and then you run into the fucking cold call dust. That's good. That's funny.
Yeah, this is a good one for sure. What's next on the menu? Oh yeah, this is a nice one. No cold calls here though. So these guys are what, 220 deep?
Yeah, 200 or so. Flat the jacks. Okay.
You're finding a click, a little 5-bet click here and there with jacks, or what do you suggest?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. So nothing to say too much here really, except for maybe a sizing preference.
Yeah.
No donking, I assume, on the turn. And now on the river, after facing no
I'd
barrel.
probably check raise the flop with jacks, like pure.
So you just don't
like,
mind getting stacked by everything that beats you, 10s, queens, kings, and aces in this 4-bet pot for 200 BB?
I think when we flat jacks and we get a 10 high board, we're going all in. So yeah. I would just call. I would just rip or like raise and then rip the turn or whatever the fuck, you know. And like I'm much happier just calling a 10, right? Because like King 10 like is if I have King 10 or whatever is like a good hand because then I can hit a king and cooler his ace king. You know what I mean? Whereas jacks have like a certain level of strength now and they just don't improve and they can really unimprove. So I would just yeah. And then on this river, if I'm top up, I would probably just I think I'm betting, and I'm probably just betting like a third or 75 or
So
I don't know if
you
I'm
don't feel
jamming really.
comfortable ripping it in.
It's not that I don't feel comfortable ripping it in. I think this hand is probably pretty close to worth it after we get the check back. I mean, Dud could have some traps here, but it's more like we need to get called by enough stuff.
And that
And so
stuff is kind of like ace king high and shit a little bit.
yeah, exactly. Like there's not a range of hands that Dud snaps off the all in versus that we are crushing. You know what I mean? So whereas like on the flop, like I'm comfortable raising, getting it in because our hand strength is high and like we're like seeking to deny equity, not just like get called by worse, right? So yeah, I would
But you wouldn't check. So that's going on, right? Check.
I don't think I would really check jacks here very
No.
much.
Seems unreasonable, I guess. He's gonna
Yeah,
go
I'd
for
rather
this.
check something like aces. Yeah, I like this size. I'd rather check aces, blocking in positions check back. This is pretty sick. I think I just spin this. I'm not gonna think about it too deeply. I spin the wheel and probably just call a chunk of the time. Our hand is not is clearly a bluff catcher at this point. And if we want to think about this more deeply, we're looking at like how likely like we're looking at like how do we think in positions playing their frequencies. And I think it's totally reasonable for in position to check back turn with some strong hands. And like if I want to think about it even deeper, it's like how reasonable is it? Does it look super reasonable? And does Dud recognize that it's super reasonable? He's check back value. So does he then overdo it? You know, that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna get too deeply into that
Sure.
if I'm Dud. And I think I just or if I'm top up, and I think I just spin the wheel for the call.
So I guess we'll never know if he was frequency folding or not, but this is a very tanky reveal.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is like that I'd think about is that like it is so reasonable for in position to have value here that I might look to start stationing if like I'm on that leveling war, because it's like, yeah, does that make sense?
I mean, it's a very sick pot from my perspective. I don't know what kind of hands get bluffed for this line. Obviously, Top Up thought that Duty can have, I'm not sure if it's just AA or just aces and tens or what exactly Duty's hands that check back that he's now repping on the river are. But this is a weird spot where people could construct their range in a way where Jacks is just a snap off or it's an instant fold. So.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying. I think. Well, yeah. Okay. Yes, they could construct the range. I just think that because of how innocent that turn is, and how reasonable it would be to check it with value, I would maybe think that Dud might take this too much, potentially. But other than that, like I think just but like I said, I'd still spin the wheel in practice.
Yeah, nice.
Do you want to hop in on the call? All right, we'll hop in on the call.
Yeah.
I think Decky should be thrown to the fucking wolves, man.
The good thing is I recorded every session, so I can show you.
Yeah, yeah, but can I see your ears?
He's ready for anything.
He records every session because he knows.
Nah, I'm recording for another
Oh,
reason.
did he rip? Nah, he didn't even rip. He
He mints. He mints.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's so sus.
Oh Jesus Christ, Decky! I
And,
thought better of
guys-
you than this.
Bad
Guys,
boy, Decky.
guys, the only 7x that is doing this is King 7. If I
That's worse, Decky. That's worse.
What frequency was it doing it out of interest?
half, maybe a bit less.
With hearts and spades?
Yeah.
I feel like every time I see a hand history like this, where someone's just like mega fucking someone else for like in this exact line, Barack is always the one on the other end. I've seen this line so many times, and Barack's been on the end of it so many times. Like, I saw Linus get him with this, where Linus had some like really dusty pair jam, and Barack just had a combo draw.
So yeah, we'll put Decky on the list as well.
Yeah, good.
Oh, this is nice. I don't know. Have you already seen this hand, Prodigy?
We'll see, I guess. If it rings a bell.
Maybe talk a little bit of strategy here, guys. I mean, is this Jack 9 foldable? Like, is it a fold / raise? Is it not a raise at all? Is it, you know, what is up with the Jack 9 backdoor here?
Versus quarter, it's call / raise. Versus 40, which is slightly more theoretically correct. It's actually just pretty much almost only fold with like a sliver of raise. But versus quarter, this is a pure continue in one way or another.
Okay. He's gonna Riz. Get paid. Probably just a standard and automatic turn barrel.
I wouldn't say automatic, but yeah, it's standard for sure.
I mean, yeah, I think most people don't consider anything else with this hand.
If you did check,
Yeah.
Owen, you're gonna find like weird check call kind of play, or
Yeah.
you're gonna, because it's not really a great check Riz, right?
Well, I mean,
You can check
the
raise or
board is
check fold.
so dry on flop, and then you raise them off a lot of, of the potential turn draws that you don't need to like. You can check and then raise some non-all-in size because you're just sort of playing air versus air at that point. Like you check to let them stab some weak hand and then raise them. Like it's not like we have to rip this all in and then just get fucked by like dominating combo draws.
Yeah, I like that.
Check calling it would also be fine depending on size. Like imposition might just stab quite small to clean up the missed backdoors, and then you could continue like that.
Okay.
It's just hard to have a clear plan when you're out of position because you don't really know what imposition's going to stab here. So like Decky, what would your imposition stab size be in this particular spot?
On the turn?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how often I would stab small because the out of position can pure check raise ace queen and then pure check the turn. So I would kinda, but on big blind I would stab smaller, but in these positions I would size up a bit.
Okay, nice, we got him, boys.
That's exactly what I would say. But yeah,
we
I
can
think.
run the Sims later.
Oh no, they're up for me, man. Decky's dead to rights.
Decky, you're gonna have to start using a second sizing.
Mining Decky for info is fun.
You know what? You know what's even worse is that when we pulled up the super sus hand, Decky didn't get it right, but then he's finding king 7. Dishonorable Decky strikes again.
Man, I really hope this nickname doesn't stick.
It's sticking, buddy.
I DM'd the llama. He's calling me dishonorable Decky, but there are 3 tables of 10k playing this morning, and he's only playing 1 table with the whale. So
It's true. It's true. But I was doing this, man. I was just playing 1 table, and he joined me. Okay.
yeah, next time I play a whale only game, I'm gonna call you and join the show. So let's see the river action.
Okay, he blasts off, and did Llama hero fail?
Do you guys like the bluff, or is this give upable? Like, would you
I
rather
would-
bluff a 7 or whatever here?
Yeah.
I want to hear what Decky has to say. Go on, Decky.
Yeah, I would rather bluff a unpaired hand, paired hand than a Jack 9. He blocks King Jack. He blocks Jack 9. He doesn't block any pairs. So yeah, just like a hand like
the Jack 9's not gonna. The Jack 9's gonna fold flop though, and King Jack is only gonna be 1 combo.
I mean, C Llama, right? He bet the flop. What I'm saying is he blocks Llama's Jack 9 and King 9.
I don't have Jack 9.
Yeah,
I don't.
Jack 9 will fold to the check raise.
Yeah, I
Oh,
folded the check raise.
sorry. I thought it went check call, check raise.
No, it went check, raise,
Bet.
barrel.
Aha, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is done completely. He never has a 10. He can only bluff a 7 or... Yeah,
He
I
does
don't
actually
mind
have some 10x that he can,
I mean, a pair.
in theory, bluff.
A pair's gonna be better blockers, but
three
also
deuce,
like a little bit of
5
showdown.
deuce.
Like if he has a 7, he's gonna be able to show down versus like ace deuce of diamonds, ace 4 of diamonds, some like I don't know. Well, does ace 4 of diamonds float the flop? Oh god, exposed.
Yes.
Probably
yes.
does when it like, especially when it's the same suit as the top card, I guess.
I would float ace 4 of diamonds.
Yeah. So yeah, like having like, I mean, a deuce doesn't really block much, but at least it like unblocks the folds. Whereas like Jack 9 is probably blocking a few folds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'd rather rock it off a deuce. But like, this is gonna be fine. It's just not the first thing I'd use.
So I want to explain myself.
Well, why don't you let them say if they think your play is good or not before you explain yourself?
So, let me just interrupt you, Lama. This thinking about 7-6 call is the same reason I raised my 7 on the same board. It was same board, right? A different order.
Well,
but
it was double
same
flush draw,
thing.
but yeah.
Yeah.
You block like half of his value range.
I mean, I don't know. I think I know why Lava called this down, and I think talking about it is probably not helpful.
I googled this and
Googled. I like that.
Yeah, jeez, this guy doesn't even know what bio is.
I googled this one and
Log him up.
here I'll send you exactly how many BBs I'm losing. Here you can put this up on the stream. So
Decky, over under 10 BB losing call.
Yeah, over under.
Under.
Lock Decky up. He doesn't know shit.
It's almost 20, isn't it? It's like
But
16.
Prodigy and Decky, do you guys think it's a reasonable call on the river?
Yeah, I guess the suits suck. He doesn't block Queen 7.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at this sim actually now, and top up is supposed to. So sometimes he has like 10-8 of hearts, and then blasts it on the turn and rips river, and that's why it's minus like however many BB. And I don't think that's very human line. I could see like Llama chopping with a bluff, or even losing to like 8-7. But I think
we lose 18 BBs, baby.
But
I'm not cheating.
fucking advertising right here. Yeah, I think
If you never give this guy a 10 bluffing, like, is it now callable?
Yeah, I mean, you're losing to like maybe like 8-7 and
So
like
I
Well,
actually
that's a
I
problem,
know
right? 8-7 is a small problem for sure.
I node locked and it's still like a 7 BB to have no 10 and it's still a 7 BB mistake. But
it would be fine to call like 7-6 of clubs if you node lock him to never bluff a better hand, I think.
I probably fold turn with 7-6 of clubs though, to be honest. Like I would call like king 7 of clubs before I call 7-6 of clubs. Like I would call that down.
I saw a very interesting hand earlier where someone raised king 7 of clubs. And
King 7 of spades. But no, I think like I would rather, if I'm gonna call twice, I would rather my 2 pair outs be clean, you know?
Okay, we're gonna see pot call, nothing really too crazy.
Okay.
And now walk us through the decision when facing the rip.
I mean, cry, first of all. You need to get the emotions out of your system because gotcha. That's an important stage. Then convince yourself you can have boats here. That's also important to coming around to the idea that your hand might be foldable. And then past that, spin the RNG.
God, if I were Beppe here, what would I do?
How much of this, let me ask the noob question, how much of this spot is our opponent repping a 7x bluff or pocket sevens? Is that kind of what's going on here? Or is there...
I don't think he has 7s, dog.
You think it's too thin to put the tower in?
So I saw
he's like repping mega slow play or jack 7.
I saw the hand. I don't think you wanna bluff
We
jam
blocked jack
a
7.
7 as Stumble because Beppe is never betting pocket 7s on the turn. So what you want to do instead is bluff jam a 9 or a 5, which is what Stumble did. So
yeah.
Spoilers, Decky. Jesus, man.
I think
Come on.
bluff jamming like ace 9 with the 9 of clubs, because then you block jack 9 suited and 9-9 is the best bluff, but he had ace 5, which is a beastly bluff.
Blocking.
Oh!
This is just a RNG thing. Stemple would have pocket 7s, jack 7 might play pure this way, but now we are getting into the territory where he's repping 2 combos in total. So he needs like half
to
a
be
combo
fair,
of bluffs.
I mean, he could
I
just
think
have like
ace of diamonds isn't that bad of a blocker because you expect Beppe to have more ace jack off suited. So I think ace 9 of clubs is better than ace 9 of diamonds, but I think ace 5 of diamonds is pretty neutral as far as the ace 5s go.
I think it's not that insane to rip your own ace jack here. Like, I mean, Bepper is mostly repping trips, and he could be going bigger with a boat. So it's like, I mean, jam is a bit greedy with your ace jack.
I think you just
like
75.
I don't know. You have top trips. I could see him ripping the ace jack, but yeah.
But I don't think
pretty nice bluff. I can see why Bepper was scared as fuck. But then the more you start thinking about it, the more you're like, there is not much I'm actually losing to here.
Repping the mega slow play. Also, Beppe had the jack of clubs, right? Or no?
Yep. Is that a big enough factor to sway your decision from a call to a fold? The jack of spades versus the jack of clubs?
I mean,
the jam is
if I'm sat there with trips, like I'm looking for any fucking excuse. You know what I mean?
It's good because jack 7 might be a pure check back. Jack 7.
Also, king of spades, you're unblocking king 9 combos, which and he might just rip some like 9x other than like 9x club is obviously going to be the best, but he could just have he could have some random 9x combos in there, so he maybe actually has a really premium calling combo.
Okay. We'll go on to the last hand.
Nice. Oof. I was worried there for a second.
Didn't want to get put on a poster by Linus. Understandable. Okay, it's Linus, so raise in position on the flop.
Is this
Come on,
is
one
this
time.
foldable at all, guys? Or
No, with the
No.
backdoor straight throws, no.
no? Okay. But pocket tens considerable or too strong now?
Well, it's also say as it starts going up, you start crushing the undercard like hands more. So even though you drop the equity,
I could see tens being a fold versus half pot. No
yeah, I mean, I
backdoor.
could see tens just about, but like jacks definitely snapping in. Like tens is like maybe the one. Also, it's like 40%. So
yeah, if it was half pot, maybe tens.
yeah, I mean it's 40% and it's bone dry. So yeah.
So this is interesting. When the board pairs, you actually wanna not have the spade. You wanna have a non-spade because now we block a lot of bluffs like queen 9, jack 9, 10, 9, 9, 8, and we are gonna hit the nuts either way because if the flush comes, we will have a full house. So I would much prefer calling here with a spadeless pocket pair than this. So I think
also,
I'm
you're
mainly
blocking the
folding
most
this.
likely give ups as well. Like if they have 9-8, if they have if they have like a 9-8 no spade combo, that's often going to be a tempting one to blast.
Yeah. We block spades, but also 9-8 of clubs. So yeah. I'm just mainly.
But like, I don't think it's the end of the world to block 9-8 of clubs, because if you're planning to like call fold this hand, which I mean I assume doesn't happen, I assume it gets called down. But if you're thinking about that, then like blocking hands which might triple you isn't that bad. But blocking hands which will go bet and then give up river is really bad.
But calling the turn here, not just burning money, it's a legitimate call.
It's gonna be like 1 BB.
I would
gonna
fold
be at most.
Yeah, I mean, I think
but...
we're all in agreement we would fold, but also like these guys have so much history that I would imagine they're like, their like reads and feel for each other is gonna trump anything a solver says about 1 BB.
Maybe Davey likes to give up river, so that's why maybe Linus called.
Not the Davey I've been playing.
That Davey, give up. The transfo, the value.
Check call aces.
What's going on?
Oh my god, does he check call like ace queen of spades here? How does he end up with a check call here? No,
he
it's
could
gonna
have
be
a
like
5,
ace queen
right?
four.
Like 5-4, 6-5 turn barrel for.
But like those, when the board pairs, those don't have
6-4 is a straight.
Yeah.
6-5, 5-4.
But like 6-5 doesn't have the extra equity it normally does.
Yeah,
like maybe he has ace
true.
5.
Ace queen of clubs, maybe double.
Yeah, ace queen of clubs. Maybe he's just soul reading that like Davey has 0 traps, and he's just like, fuck it, he'll find a hand to call. Like,
this is retarded.
Like
so
ace 3.
You guys are in agreement that it is a value jam.
Yeah, yes. This is 100% a value jam.
Yeah, I mean it's value, but like we're struggling to find what he's expecting to get called by.
I guess Decky's 5.
You know what? I think it's a bluff.
Wait,
why does Kevin Pack always use his fucking full-time bank? Motherfucker.
Did Davey fold King Jack here or something? Like, what went on? What has happened?
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, did he call or fold? Yeah,
he
okay,
folded.
like. Yeah.
What did Davey have?
Ace Jack of
He had
spades.
ace jack of spades and just check folded it like a normal person.
Linus deep in the fucking weeds.
No one is safe from the flame.
But yeah, I mean, he could have got check called by Decky's pair of 5s. That would have been pretty cool.